Is it filming? Hi, my name's Ross. I've got ADHD. I was diagnosed when I was 4 years old, so I was quite young. I was medicated from that point onwards till I was 16. The first medication I took was Ritalin. I started off on quite a high dose, I believe. My mum can confirm that, she's the one filming. But yeah, it was quite a high dose since I was very young. It was on and off for me at school. Sometimes, some days it'd work, and then some days, you know, the ADHD just sort of took over. But when I went off of it for periods of time, when my paediatric psychologist said, "Oh, why don't we try like a couple of weeks or a month without it?" Apparently the teachers were begging for my mum to put me back on it. So it must have been doing something good, even though it did have its side effects. The common side effect for me was loss of appetite. I wouldn't eat much, if anything at all, during the day. If I did, it'd just be shit food that the other kids were eating.
And insomnia.
I didn't have insomnia, I don't think, did I?
Mm.
Oh, maybe, according to my mother, I did have insomnia, but I don't really remember that. I always remember sleeping quite well. It took a while for me to get to sleep though. And then it was very hard for me to wake up because I'm quite a deep sleeper. I think I have been from a young age. So, and then when I got to, after the Ritalin, I was then on, I believe, something called Strattera, which is a slow release one, which is different to methylphenidate. It's actually something called antamoxetine, which works slightly differently, but to the same effect. You'll have to look that up to get further details on that. After that, I went into secondary school. I was then put on something called Strattera, which was a newer, again, slow release drug, which lasts for approximately 12 hours, although we found that it probably lasted just about to the end of school, if that. So the time varies on the person's metabolism, I could only assume, and what they've eaten that day and stuff like that. I can only assume if you've eaten more, it'll wear off quicker. If you've eaten less, it'll last a bit longer. I'm not sure.
And of course your environment as well.
And your environment, yeah. So, but yeah, according to the school, it was quite effective. When I was 16, obviously I was old enough to decide whether I wanted to continue taking the medication myself or I wanted to come off of it. And my decision was that I didn't want to be on a medication for the rest of my life. So I decided that I wanted to get off of it. So at the age of 16, after leaving school, I stopped taking all methylphenidate and have done up until today. And the date today is the 24th of January 2018. And I stopped taking it in 2008, I believe it was. So 10 years I've been without it. I've done all right. I've got friends and people I know with ADHD, and I feel like either they're at one end of the spectrum and I'm at the other, or I'm just better at coping and dealing with it. Either way, I've definitely feel like I've come further than some of my peers that have got ADHD, in the sense of I'm a little bit better at controlling it, I think. My main problems personally are to do with my impulse control, so doing and saying things without first thinking of them. It's like when people say to me, "Why don't you just stop and think before you do something?" It seems like almost an impossibility for myself. Also concentration and focus, same sort of thing, but I find it hard to concentrate on dull things for low periods of time. But put me in front of a PlayStation or a good movie and, you know, I'm stuck in for good and no one can take me out of that. So I just wanted to basically tell everyone my story and do a bit of a diary. I won't update it every day because I'll probably forget, as you do. So I don't want to do that, but I just thought I want to be a bit more in depth about my life and how things are going for me psychologically than some of the other posts that I've seen on YouTube and Facebook and stuff about this specific medication. But not only that, but things to do with ADHD and life with it. I have ADHD, not ADD. For those of you who don't know, they are two separate things. They are very similar, but come with a different set of what's the word I'm looking for? Symptoms. So yeah, today I've been very apprehensive for the last about 3 months is when I decided that I was going to try and go back on it. I've been seeing a psychiatrist. I didn't really find it particularly helpful. It was okay. It was nice to speak to someone about some of the problems I'm having, but I don't really feel like it actually helped me for the future. She gave me some good ideas about writing in my diary and stuff like that, and a diary is a really good thing to keep. I also
Definitely.
bought a dictaphone as well, so which I carry with me normally. And things that I either can't be asked to or forget to put in my diary, I can just shout on my dictaphone, and then I listen to that most days back to myself to remind me of things that I need to do. I found that really helpful. Tidying my flat I've found really difficult up until a couple of weeks ago, when I found that if my flat's tidy, it gives me less of an excuse not to do other things. So because my flat's tidy, I don't need to tidy it, therefore I've got no excuse to do the other things I need to do in my life. So I found that really helpful as well, keeping a tidy environment. You know what they say, tidy environment, tidy mind. I found that's worked quite well for me. I'm a little bit clearer now. So leading up to this day, I've been both excited and nervous. Part of me thinks it's going to act like some miracle drug and I'm going to be super smart all of a sudden and stuff like that. And I know it realistically it doesn't work like that. So I have had that in the back of my mind that realistically it could help, but there's also a possibility that I'm a little bit past it now maybe, and maybe it might not help, I'm not sure. But I literally took my first tablet, which is Concerta XL, 18 milligram slow release. I'm going, so as I said, today's date is the 24th of January. My next appointment is the 5th of February. So I've got, my maths isn't that great, just over a week before I go back and see the doctor again to decide whether to go back onto a stronger dose, which would be 36 milligram or 54 milligrams for an adult. So that's going to be interesting to see what the effects are. I've been nervous about it. I've had slightly increased heart rate since I took the medication, but I feel like that's more to do with the apprehension on how it's going to make me feel. I have been on it before, so I am aware of some of the side effects that will most likely affect me, which will be the loss of appetite, which, to be quite honest with you, at this point in my life is probably not too much of a bad thing, because I do eat quite a lot, so, and I eat a lot of rubbish stuff, so it's good to change your diet. I need to exercise a little bit more, which I'm looking at doing. Keeping things fun is really helpful to help you to want to do things. Like going to the gym is not very fun, but doing something like swimming or trampolining or anything like that is a bit more fun, so you're more likely to go and do something like that. So don't try and fool yourself thinking that you're going to go out for a run every day if you don't enjoy it. So yeah, I will update you on how I feel and stuff. Thanks for watching, and if you've got any questions, just ask them, or I have a Facebook group which is called ADHD Share. I think it's still there. I'm hoping after these videos it become a bit more popular. You can ask questions on there. If not, just ask them in the comments and I'll try and answer them as best I can. Thanks for watching. Just press it again.